As outlined in the manuscript associated with this video, we used a design-based research process that incorporated interviews with program leaders to identify 4 program evaluation needs for the analysis and presentation of EPA-based assessment data. At the same time, we iteratively designed dashboard elements to meet these needs and revised them over the study period. In this video, I will provide an overview of the resulting program evaluation dashboard. Specifically, I will demonstrate aspects of the dashboard designed to provide an overview of EPA analytics, demonstrate the degree of fidelity of the assessments to the assessment plan, describe rotation performance, and engage with the data. Participants requested a broad overview of EPA analytics that would give them a quick understanding of how EPAs are being completed within their program and how that compares to prior years. This element shows EPA analytics from residents in a single residency program for a specified academic year. Metrics include the number of residents with records, the total EPAs observed, the percentage of EPAs that expired after not being completed, the average EPA entrustment score, the average word count in EPA assessment feedback data. The proportion of EPAs rated at each level of entrustment score is also presented as a pie chart with a breakdown of each rating. Participants also requested historical metrics to contextualize these values and provide insight into how they were changing over time. This element is a bar chart presenting the total number of EPAs completed and expired per resident. For instance, 2018-19 and 2019-20 academic years had EPA acquisition and expiration numbers that were very similar. This element is a stack chart that displays the proportion of EPAs rated at each level of the entrustment score from 1 through 5. Overall, the ratings have been quite consistent year over year, with very few EPAs being scored at the 1 or 2 level. The only discordant year was 2017-18, when the new assessment system was being piloted among a small group of faculty. This figure is a line graph comparing the number of EPAs completed in each month. In this case, the 2020-21 trend line drops below the 2019-20 trend line in January. Interestingly, this coincided with the introduction of a new non-EPA full shift assessment form that we introduced in January of 2021. This element is a bar chart contrasting the number of words per narrative comment associated with each of the EPAs. Other than during the 2017-18 pilot year, this average has increased slightly year over year. As demonstrated by the comments in Appendix 1, word count was thought to be a useful but imperfect metric of narrative comment quality. Beyond knowing the number and characteristics of the EPAs that were being completed within their programs, the participants sought insight on how closely the EPAs being completed aligned with the designated assessment plan. Specifically, they desired a metric to track the fidelity of their implementation of CBAD that compared their program's EPA completion with the EPA requirements developed by the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada. To meet this need, we developed what we've called a divergence ratio that could be calculated for each EPA to quantify its over or underrepresentation relative to the prescribed assessment program. For example, for a given transition to discipline EPA, this metric would be calculated by dividing the ratio of transition to discipline EPAs completed within the program by the ratio of transition to discipline EPAs required by the assessment plan. That would be multiplied by 100% to give a value that ranges usually from 0% to 500 or 600%. For example, these EPAs are underrepresented, while these other EPAs are overrepresented as they go over 100%. The bars themselves are colored to indicate the degree of divergence from the assessment plan. So EPAs completed at greater than 125% of their expected rate relative to the other EPAs are colored light green. Those completed at 75 to 125% of the expected rate are green. Those less than 75% are yellow. And those less than 25% are colored red. A lighter green was chosen for the overrepresented EPAs because of the opportunity costs associated with completing extra of those EPAs relative to the ones that are underrepresented. Participants sought insight into rotation performance in the completion of EPAs, as well as when and how those EPAs were being completed on each rotation. So this element is a bar chart that presents the average number of EPAs completed on each rotation by residents from our program. So for each academic year, the value for a rotation is calculated by dividing the total number of EPAs completed on that rotation by the number of residents that completed that rotation. This allows participants to quickly identify rotations that are not contributing assessments to the program, as well as those that are completing more assessments than anticipated. This element works well with these other two. The one on the left allows users to select a specific EPA and display how frequently it is being completed on each rotation. And the one on the right allows participants to select a specific rotation and display how frequently each EPA is being completed on it. Together, the three of these graphs could be used to investigate why an EPA is underrepresented or to identify which rotations hard to assess EPAs are actually being completed on. The last theme that emerged from our qualitative analysis related to how the participants wanted to engage with the data. Participants found the dashboard that we developed to be useful due to its interactivity and responsiveness that we have demonstrated throughout this video by showing how data can be selected for visualization, as well as how further information can be accessed by mousing over the dashboard elements. Thank you for taking the time to review our manuscript and dashboard.